going down. Know how to seen it, know how to lived it. So let's relive it. Get back on it. There's two different stories that I can relate to today's topic that took place when I was a kid. Both true stories, both 100% facts. And I'm gonna give it to y'all the best way that I remember it. The amazing thing with me, and my brothers tell me, friends tell me all the time, is my memory. I have a really good memory. I don't forget much, man. I'm like an elephant. They're saying he's got a memory like an elephant, something along those lines. I'm like that. The bits and pieces that I have a hard time remembering are from when I was drinking and blacked out, or when I was all zanied out of my mind. So my teen years and throughout that period is choppy because I spent a lot of that time inebriated. My dad growing up was a tree man. For y'all don't know what a tree man is, that's the guy that goes out, cuts down big ass trees. Wood chipper, tree truck. He was good at what he did. He had guys that worked for him. He worked for several different companies here and there. There were several times that he would get enough money up and run his own company. He had a pretty good lick on a robbery when I was a kid. Started his own company, which ended really, really bad for him and several people involved. Not gonna get into that even though he's dead. But the reason me telling you that is, in growing up with my pops around, I'd have rather not had him around because of who he was. But either way, he was around. He would always have different employees, different guys he worked with. When I was a kid, they would, be around the back of the work trucks. The guys would be drinking, smoking weed, doing different things. And as a kid, I got to know a lot of these guys. But it was a black dude at the time that he hung out with named Larry. Larry would come over, smoke weed, drink, do all these different things, just kick it, even when he wasn't at work. And everybody knows back in the 80s growing up, there were certain television shows that you watched. Remember Disney? Remember the little Tinkerbell would come up and fly around the castle and, the Disney music would come on and you watch Herbie the Love Bug or something like that? But there was another show that's always stuck out in my mind that we used to watch. That was America's Most Wanted with John Walsh. The father of the little boy Adam Walsh that was killed way back in the day. Everybody remembers America's Most Wanted.
Woo shit.
Well, Larry works for my dad, works with my dad. I can't remember if he worked for him or with him. Just remember him being around. I remember he was a cool dude, man. If I had to compare him to somebody, I'd say he reminded me of Wesley Snipes. Larry just comes up missing, out the blue. Don't come to work no more. We don't see Larry. We don't hear nothing from Larry. Larry's just pretty much vanished. Nobody knows where he went. It's my dad's homeboy. I expected, somebody would know something. We didn't know anything. There we are that weekend, months and months and months down the road, laying on the living room floor watching America's Most Wanted on the old box-style TV. The old crank knobs and the clothes hang on top of the antenna. And they get into a story. And the story is about Larry. Larry was wanted in the murder of an elderly woman in North Carolina. I sat there in disbelief in the episode. Come to find out, Larry had hacked this old woman up with an axe in her carport / garage area of her home in the middle of the night. Now, what I remember about Larry is Larry was a heavy drinker, and Larry drank a lot of liquor. Like, he drank liquor like it was, like you were drinking a 2-liter of soda. Larry would do that with bottles of bourbon, just whatever he get his hands on. I always remember seeing this guy drinking, being really drunk, right? They show his picture, give his description. They walk through the ins and outs of the crime scenes and a reenactment of what they think happened that night. I come to find out Larry was burglarized this woman's house in the middle of the night. Thought she wasn't there. She rolled up on him in the garage, told him she was calling the police. Larry picked up an axe. I killed the woman with it in her garage. Left fingerprints all over the scene. Fingerprints on the axe.
I need to use this
Recovered
up.
all this stuff that 100% tied Larry to the crime. Larry would get caught in another state not long after that. You already know. If your ass is on America's Most Wanted, you better get out the country. And they showed that show outside the country as well. So your chances of getting away with something after being on that show was slim to none. Because back then everybody watched it. But I remember, you know, seeing stuff on the news about it after that, after he was captured and brought back to Charlotte. And Larry's defense and what happened that night was that he had started drinking. It was on a weekend. First thing in the morning, the last thing he remembered ended at about 4 or 5 o'clock that evening. He don't remember going to the woman's house. He was also tied to several other breaking and enterings throughout that night.
Fuck, he's still.
He didn't remember killing the woman with the axe. Never remembered seeing her, anything. Like I said, they just put the America's Most Wanted, put the reenactment together, and he just agreed with it because he didn't know what had happened. He told him he drank the whole day to the point that he blacked out and woke up the following morning covered in blood in his truck, and there was all this stuff from all these different houses in the back of his truck from where he had broken in and stole stuff. There was stuff from the woman's house that he killed that he went on to sell to people on the street and pawn some of. Larry went off to prison, and if I had to guess, I don't remember his sentencing. I don't remember them talking about his sentencing. But with a crime like that, I can pretty much guarantee you that Larry never, ever, ever is getting out of prison if he's still alive to this day. This would have been 1990, maybe 89, 88, somewhere around that period.
Damn.
And I understand blacking out, not remembering something, but I don't think that in my darkest days of drinking, me being in the deepest, bottomless pit of a bottle, that I could ever take it to that extreme. I think that is something that is inside of you, something that's been lying dormant, and I don't think that blacking out is an excuse for something like that, because someone is gone, someone's family suffered, this woman died in a horrific way, and it doesn't excuse it because you decided to drink to the point that you lost control and couldn't remember. That's today's first story, 100% facts, but then on everything I love, that was crazy to say the least, to see Larry on America's Most Wanted. Second story I'm going to tell y'all is disturbing. It involves a child. If that's not something you can stomach to hear, then I suggest you go ahead and fast forward a ways until we get to the last story. But part of my childhood, something I remember, also related to somebody blacking out. So today I'm going to share that story with y'all as well. Give you a second. Skip forward if that's what you want. 1990 will forever be a year that sticks out in my head. A lot happened in 1990. I got in trouble for the first time in 1990.
Damn. I was 6 or 7 years old.
What I thought was protect myself from 3 other kids in the school. I tried to attack them with a knife.
Oh yeah,
that would be my first run-in with the law. That's also the same year a dude I thought was my friend, a guy by the name of William Wiley Dino, from Just Kids, shot me in my hand with a machete. All facts. I had to undergo several surgeries in the hospital for a while.
Oh, you bitch.
Lost, movement in my hand, control of my hand because of the damage. That sticks out in my head. A lot of things stick out in my mind from 1990. I'm 10 years old. It was a year that a lot of things happened. Now, my dad, he quit drinking when I was young. But his friends, the guys he kicked it with,